the hashtag boycott 60 minutes is trending on Twitter. And I saw this. Also, Leslie Stahl is twending. It's twending on Twitter.
That was Barbara Walters intruding on the Leslie Stahl discussion.
That's right. Leslie Stahl is also trending on Twitter, and she's, of course, one of the hosts of 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes being this long-running, hour-long show on Sunday evenings on CBS that, before podcasts became a thing, was kind of the longest-form visual media way that you ended up with stories, with interviews. They're not that long, but it was really substantial.
I used to watch it regularly when I was a kid, back when there was journalism.
Right.
Yeah.
And thus he became informed.
I became largely informed, occasionally misinformed.
Right.
I was sometimes malinformed, and that was not terrorism at the time.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But the both the McNeil News Hour, back when PBS was alive and kicking.
A little dry.
Yeah. 60 Minutes was more entertaining, but often some remarkably hard-hitting stories, and also they are effectively reflecting back, because they're doing journalism. They're supposed to be reflecting back some of what the biggest stories are that people are thinking about or should be thinking about in the world at the moment. So high production values, big budget,
Large stopwatch.
very large stopwatch, and you got to know about how that would sound if it was in your living room.
If you were any good at math, you could figure out how much of a television program was commercials by the fact that 60 Minutes contained something like 43 minutes of content.
Well, I was going to say it was often 2 or 3 interviews plus some preamble, plus, was it Andy Rooney at the end? Is that right?
Andy Rooney.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yet, maybe these are sort of 12-minute total content-wise, these interviews. But again, this was as sort of deep as you would go in mainstream media, and until podcasts mostly. So hashtag boycott 60 Minutes. Wow. What did they do? Well, what they did, apparently, and it hasn't even happened yet. The segment is gonna air tomorrow.
We're in the pre-crime segment.
We're in the pre-crime segment, but the crime has already been committed. It's just not public yet. So on April 2nd, apparently they are going to, for their Sunday show, they are going to reveal the, again, high production value results of the set of interviews that Leslie Stahl did with, wait for it, the gall of the woman, the inhumanity. She interviewed Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Mm-hmm.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, if you've been living under a rock, is an elected official, a congresswoman in the House of Representatives of the United States of America, representing Georgia. Now, we don't live in Georgia. We didn't vote for her. Probably wouldn't have voted for her if we did live there, but I don't know, right? She's there. She's an elected official. She has some remarkable views. She's the AOC of the right.
She's the AOC of the red team.
She's the AOC of the red team, and I think that both of those women have something to offer, and a lot of what they are is a dog and pony show. Both of them. What?
That seems dangerous, but I'm all for it. Yeah, a dog and pony show.
I'm not calling either of them dogs or ponies.
Right.
I'm saying that so much of it is for show, and yet at base, both AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene appear to have some fundamental values that I share. And I probably won't watch this, just like I probably wouldn't watch a Leslie Stahl interview with AOC. But the idea that Leslie Stahl just sitting down and talking with an elected official in the House of Representatives in the United States of America is enough to get the Twitter mob out in force and say basically, for shame, how could you? You do not talk to those sorts of people, is, I think, really indicative of the moment that we are living in. And that was the segue by which I wanted to introduce some of this Thomas Sowell thinking. But
it's a tell.
It is
right?
a tell.
The point is, let's say that you think Marjorie Taylor Greene is some sort of a terrible disaster, an affront to good governance or something like that.
Right.
That's a reasonable thing to think. You should want her interviewed. It will reveal itself, or you will discover that it isn't true, right? The idea...
But that That's the danger, isn't it? What if some people discover it's not true?
Well, so this is, in fact, one of the central tools of the moment is penalizing people for open-mindedness, right? And this, we, of course, were cast into the public eye with exactly such a thing, right? We were beyond the pale for questioning a policy change at our college that we were actually obligated as faculty members to question if we thought it was questionable. So, deplatforming people, driving up the costs of voicing skepticism or nuance, which is really what it is, right? That tool is the kind of thing that you would want if the division of, let's say, Americans was serving your interests. If you needed Americans divided, because if Americans were to actually talk to each other, they would find that they were, for example, all being shafted by the duopoly, and that because it is a majority of Americans whose interest lies in overthrowing the duopoly, that they might do that. So if you needed the duopoly to maintain its position so that it could do your bidding at the expense of the public, then you really wouldn't want people listening to the other side. And so whether it's, Donald Trump is so evil that you dare not listen to what the man says, or Marjorie Taylor Greene, or AOC, or you and me, right? Sure. It's all of us. This is their tool. And so, I will say the correct principle is read the books they wish to burn, right? Listen to the people they don't want you to hear. And you know what? Sometimes you will find that they're stark raving mad. And sometimes you will find they're a little bit of each, right?
A little bit of what's the each?
Stark raving mad with some insight.
Insight.
Right? So anyway, by listening, you're not agreeing to what they say. You're just, maybe you're even just listening to hear why they are persuasive to others.
Oh my God. There are so many reasons to both let everyone speak and to, in fact, listen to those with whom you are certain you disagree. And I cannot actually come up with any legitimate reason to shut down the ability for people to be, interviewed on 60 Minutes, for instance. And, I think I then went and looked at the 60 Minutes tweet about this and at Marjorie Taylor Greene's either retweet or, going public with this. And they're both just very reasonable. I think 60 Minutes, because it's not a person, it's this entity, doesn't state this. And so I think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene who says, look, I had a great set of conversations with Leslie Stahl, and we don't agree about a lot of stuff, but here we go. I feel honored to have been invited to have the conversations, and, please listen.
Yeah,
Good, yes, please listen.
The people, your enemy, are the people who don't want you to listen to the people who are supposed to be your enemy.
Exactly.
Right? Listening to them is not, you have a mind so that you can discern what's reasonable and what is not. And somebody can say terrible things, and it doesn't have to persuade you. And you don't have to feel jeopardized by it. And you should know what they're saying.